Hey everybody, today I'm going to run through a demo of Lesson 6 from the Adobe Illustrator Classroom in a Book 2024. That's using the basic drawing tools, and this corresponds to our Tutorial 3 in Vector Drawing class. So let's do it. Here we are in Illustrator. I have uploaded this lesson file. It's called L6_start in Blackboard. And after downloading that L6 start file, you can go to Illustrator and choose File, Open, and mine is here in my Downloads folder. Click to open L6 start. Here we see this file has 4 artboards. Those artboards again are accessible down here on the bottom of the screen. Each one is named something, logo 1, pencil, logo 2, logo 3. We can click to select any of those and have it zoom in. Just like that. The first thing we want to get into here is to make sure that we have access to all the tools that we might use in this tutorial. If your toolbar doesn't look like mine here with these tools in 2 columns, come on up to the top and click on Window and then Toolbars and make sure there's a check next to Advanced. This is the basic toolbar. Window, Toolbars, Advanced. We use these advanced tools so much that it just makes more sense to have them available all the time. Illustrator's drawing tools start with the pen and the curvature tools. These are going to look like your pen and path tools from Photoshop if you're familiar with those. And what they do, as you can see in the little demo here, is they draw curves, they draw paths by establishing anchor points and then rotating path around that and then filling it in as the designer decides. To get started with the curvature tool, the first thing that we're going to do is let's look at this whole thing in the window. View, fit, all in window. All right, we see these elements. I'll give you a preview. I'll choose L6 end. This is where we're trying to get to. We'll have some mountains. We'll draw the curve of these mountains. We'll move this camp text up. We'll draw a fire and a log. Put that here and make some rays. And do some work with arrows. All of those will be covered with the drawing tools here that I'll get into. Okay, this is the start file. And the first thing that I'll do is draw that mountain scene. To do that, with my selection tool, come here and on this circle, we want to lock that down. We don't want to accidentally click on it. So I'll choose Object, Lock, Selection. Right now that circle is locked and I won't accidentally click on it. Then I'll click on the curvature tool. Let's go ahead and zoom in. Command plus. If you're using a trackpad, a 2-finger gesture will scroll around in the window, or you can use your space bar to make the hand tool and move that around. Here again, I have the curvature tool, and that asterisk next to it shows us that I'm about to make a new path. So I'll just click here, and you can see that curvature, it's making a curve, right? It's making anchors. I press the escape key to stop it from making new curves. And I clicked on each anchor point, clicked on an anchor point here. I drag it out. I've got this rubber band showing me what the curve is going to look like. Come up here to make another little hill and just drag it down here. So as I click for each of these anchor points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 anchor points, I've now created this hilly background. I'm going to click on one anchor and I can see that I didn't quite drag it onto the top of the circle to hide that end. So I just kind of dress that up a little bit, press escape to stop drawing. And now what I want to do is move these around. I can actually change this shape after I'm done with it. When I get the little circle with the plus here, I can click on that. Now this anchor point is blue, right? The other ones are white. So on this path, now that it's blue, I can click and drag to move this around and to adjust my original curve here. Maybe I'll do this, drag that down a little bit. Then my path tool, my curve path tool, has a plus next to the icon. So if I click now, I'm adding a new anchor point to this path and then can manipulate that. So I'll get 3 peaks here. Press escape to get out of drawing it. And great, that looks awesome. I'll press V and click off of it to deselect that. And I'll go ahead and save it. Remember to save your files. Don't lose everything. So choose File, Save As, Save on your computer. I'll just put it back in my downloads folder and call it, tutorial3 parker.ai. Format, Adobe Illustrator, save. This is all fine. Okay, great, we've made progress. Let's use the curve tool again, and I'll click on the curve tool and I'll make a river coming from these mountains. I'll click here. Oops. See, I clicked on the path, and so what it did was actually reactivate the path, and now I'm adding to this path. Command Z a couple of times, don't want to do that. Escape. Here, since I have my hills selected, I'll choose Object, Lock, and Selection again. That way, right, I don't click on it. So I'll come back and click again on my curvature tool, make sure that's clicked. And here again, the asterisk is telling me I'm making a new path. And I'll just press Escape to stop drawing, and I'm going to go ahead and make a new path here. And I'm just clicking along in shapes that I like. This is sort of too much. Right? There's too much. I don't know what this is about. I can click to select that anchor point and drag it in. Now I think I've got too many of these anchor points. I'll click on this anchor point here and delete. I deleted that anchor point, and now I have what I think is a nicer river. Press Escape to stop drawing with the tool. Whoops. There we go. With the selection tool, we can click on any of the unlocked paths, and then with the direct selection tool, again, we get those curves, those anchors all lit up, and I can select any one of them and move that path around. These handles allow us to change the shape of the curve, and if we grab them, we can extend and stretch and change the shape of the curve however we like. I'll go ahead and put some more mountains here in the background, again with the curvature tool. And right, we've already got our foothills locked down, so I'm going to get a new path and make these curvy big mountains. Now that too many curves. So what I can do here is double click on any of these to make a hard angle rather than a curvy soft curve. I have a 90-degree angles now. And so I can go ahead and click on this one, just do all of them as 3. There. I clicked and held on this anchor point, and I could kind of move it around. Click and hold on this path and drag it down here where I like where it is. Click on this path and just stretch it out to join better with the circle behind. And that all looks fine to me. Now, I decided I wanted to center everything better. So what I've done is moved, let me go back. Right, it wasn't fine with me. So rather than have, all of this stuff shifted over to the left, I'm going to press V and move these mountains over to join up a little better. And I'll click for my direct selection tool, click on this anchor that I want to join up, and just run it down here into the foothills of my logo. Same here with this one. Click once, and I'm just joining it up with this line. Yes, I like that better. Grab that one and moved it over a little bit. Good. I'll go ahead and press Command Save to save that again. Let me back out. Looking great. Okay, so we have made this mountain and this stream and these mountains. Now let's go ahead and make these curved rays around the top of the logo. So first, with my V key, I'll click on this path right here. And then under the properties, I'll click on the word stroke. Then under that stroke menu, click on dashed line. And here we're going to enter something like 35 and 4 and 5 and 4. And you can see what's happening to that. Let me zoom in. Well, Command plus. Right, here it is. 35 points, 4 points, 5 points, 4 points. And so what it's doing here is making a 35-point stroke, a 4-point gap, dash, gap, a 5-point dash, and then a 4-point gap. And then it just starts over again. That is with this option on. Align dashes to corners and paths, adjusting lengths to fit. That means it will fit within whatever the length of your path is. If we choose this one, it forces the dashed line to stick with what you select. What does it say? Preserves exact dash and gap lengths, right? So it's absolute versus relative to the length of the path. That looks good. Now that I've made that dashed path and I want to duplicate them and make them run around this circle like it's a sun. To get that started, I'll click on the rotate tool I'll drag out this rotation center point out to the center of this circle. And with the rotation tool still selected, I'll hold down Option or Alt on a PC, and I'll just drag these out, these rays. As I'm holding the Option or Alt key down, I'm getting this black and white arrow. What that's doing is it's telling me it's copying it. So there's one, and I don't want to have to do that individually each time around. And so in order to repeat this gap of about 15 degrees, I can now press Command D. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. What it did with that Command D key command was repeated the rotation and the distance within each rotation all the way around this center mark. And now we have our sunlight around the circle. The next thing that we want to do is cut off the bottom half of this circle. In Illustrator, it's often easier to make a complete shape and then cut away at it rather than try to create the final shape from the beginning. So now you recall I have a bunch of things locked. I'll press Command A and choose Object, Unlock All. Okay, now we can manipulate all of the stuff on the screen. And I'll click on the rectangle tool. There are my smart guides, and I'll just click the rectangle all the way around the bottom half of that circle. Don't touch the words, just get all of that in there. Now I have this rectangle around the bottom of the square and this part of the river. After pressing the V key, which gives us the selection tool, I'll just click and drag all the way across, and now I have everything here selected. See the different center points, all of the rectangle selected, the river, paths, the bottom of the circle, and I want to remove that. To get rid of the bottom half, I'll click on the Shape Builder tool, and to make the plus go away, I'll press Option or Alt on a PC, Option on a Mac, Alt on a PC, to get the minus. Normal, plus, meaning make a new shape, or Option or Alt to get minus, that means take away. I'll drag it across here. Everything that has that pattern inside of it is going to be removed, just like that. Now I'll click on the selection tool again, click on Camp, press Shift plus to move it up. And we have a pretty good approximation. Oops. Let's make sure we have Camp in front. So I'll select the Camp and choose Arrange, Bring to Front. I think that's a pretty decent approximation of what we have in our L6 end here. Look at that. Pretty good. You see, it's not exactly the same, and it's okay. It doesn't have to be. This asterisk here at the top on the tab showing my file name, that asterisk means it hasn't been saved. So press Command Save and make that go away. Now I've clicked Command minus several times to zoom out, and I want this artboard with the fire on it. I'll choose to pencil to zoom in on this. And the pencil is the kind of natural way to draw in Illustrator. You can find the pencil underneath this icon, the shaper tool icon. Here's the pencil right here. And same situation with the asterisk, it's telling us it's making a new path. We can just draw naturally with the pencil. And even though it's all kind of scriggly scraggly there, I'll let go and it smooths that line for me. Command Z to undo it, Command plus to zoom in a little bit, move it down, right? You don't really have to do this kind of stuff exactly, especially not with the pencil. For example, if you come over here, where the asterisk disappears, the new line asterisk disappears right there, I can actually reshape this by just continuing to draw. If you have the opportunity to use a Wacom tablet or a stylus of some kind, the pencil is a great tool to use your stylus with. It can be difficult to draw with a mouse pad. I'll go ahead and Command Z out of this and draw it with my tablet. Still not great. Right here, I've double-clicked on the pencil tool to see what's happening with the properties behind the scene. You can see how I can drag this smooth fidelity slider. That's what makes the line become very smooth. Or this will make it exactly the way I draw it. This will smooth it out. We don't want to fill new pencil strokes because filling new pencil strokes might be hard to look at. It might just, make it hard to look at. You can fill later. Keep it selected after we draw it. We're going to close paths when they get close to each other. And we'll be able to edit the selected paths, meaning this is where you can draw new strokes, right, by overlapping. I'll just click OK here, show you what I mean. So it's going to smooth out my path there, and that 6 pixel thing to continue to edit strokes, that's what's happening here. So now I have this nice smooth stroke. If I wanted to reshape it at all, again, I could use the direct selection tool, click on one of the anchors and drag it wherever I want it to be. I have to change these curve handles too to make it move the way I need. Move that one up there a little bit, maybe this one down here a little bit. It's not critical that you get these onto the lines. I'm just doing what I do. You could even, I double clicked on this anchor to get the radius tool here, and I can change this angle too to not be so sharp. Good enough. Then we can come down here. We can also draw straight lines. What I'll do here again with the pencil tool is click and hold, draw this around, and from here I can hold down the Option key, and you see how that icon changed to straight line. Let go. So I've released the Option key now, but I haven't released my mouse click. Come down there, and then I'll press Option again, and I get another straight line, and when I get the circle, it's going to join. Press V, and I have a nice little fire log. I'll show you that again. With the pencil tool, I can start here, click and hold, and drag it around. That's terrible. Undo. Click and hold and drag it around. Nope. Click and hold and drag it around. There. Now I'll press the Option key. I haven't let go of my mouse. Drag it over here to this end. Let go of the Option key again. Here. Press the Option key. Drag it across. Still holding the mouse. There's my circle. It'll join the path. And let go. Great looking fire log. Now that we have that stroke drawn, now we can fill in the log. I'll just make it a kind of brown color. I clicked on the fill thumbnail, color thumbnail, and then selected brown. I'll move up here, press V for my selection tool, and click on the fire. Click on fill, make that an orangey color, and Command minus to zoom out a couple more times. And again, I have that castle. That means I'm moving this selection. I'll click and drag this down onto the fire log. And I want this to be in front, right? Because I created this log after I created this fire stroke, the log is in front. So I'll press Arrange with the fire selected and choose Bring to Front. Now the fire is in front here. With my selection tool selected, I'll click and drag over both of those, press Command C, and then move myself over here onto this artboard, or click on Artboard 3, Logo 2, right? Here we go. And then I'll press Command V to paste in this fire thing from over here. So I'll do that again. With my selection tool on, click and drag over this. And I could just click and hold and just drag it over here, right? Just drop it right in here. And actually I'll do that. Or Command Z. With everything selected, I can choose Edit, Copy. Then I'll click onto this new artboard, Artboard 3, and choose Edit, Paste in Front. Now, right, we've got that fire right here. The next thing that we're going to do is turn this circle with a black stroke and a yellow fill into like a teardrop shape that's going to fit in the side of the fire. To do that, underneath the eraser tool, I find the scissors tool. And with the scissors tool highlighted, I'll roll onto the circle until I come across the stroke. And I just click. Shape expanded means I've cut that shape. And so what I can do now that I've got my direct selection tool selected, that shape has now been cut by that scissor maneuver that I did. And I've just drug these up, these paths, right, with the loose end up together up here. I can click and drag them around however I like. Now, when I get a gap like this, we've done this before, I have a gap here between these two anchor points. I've shift clicked on both of them. I can choose Object, Path, Join, or Command J. Boop, right? And now we've joined those two paths. We've joined these paths, and now what we want to do is make pointier shape, sort of a hard point at the end here. One of the ways we can do that, the way that I do it, is by dragging up these curved paths, these anchors, and then take the handle, and if you join the handle with the curved line, it becomes a harder angle. These two obviously I don't have put together, but I'll just drag them on top of each other. And now we have that. So there's 100 ways to do every single thing in Illustrator. This is the way I would do that. I think they explain it differently in the book. But now I have my perfect teardrop shape. I'll go ahead and with my selection tool selected, I'll drag over to select that, press Command minus to zoom out a couple times. And with the selection tool on again, I'll click and drag this into the center of my fire. But again, it's behind the fire. With that still selected, I'll click Arrange and Bring to Front. Looks like I need to make that stroke a little a little smaller here. With this nice shape here inside of this kind of janky looking bigger orange fire, I want this to be smoothed out to look more like its inner fire. So I've used my selection tool to select this fire shape. Then I'll click on Edit Path and then Smooth. Here you see the slider is the hard angle, minimum smoothing, and I can just change that to make it a little more smooth. Once again, I'll press V for my move tool, drag this up, can't have camp behind, so with camp selected, I'll again choose Arrange and bring to front. Maybe down a little more. Actually, what I'm gonna do here is select everything, click once on these rays that I haven't messed with to make them the primary object or the focus object. And I'm going to center everything by clicking on Horizontal Align Center. Now it's all centered on each other and looks a little more finished. Let's see how we did mimicking that one. Not bad, pretty good. I guess they wanted their fire to be a little more red, so we'll do that. I'll take it. Now, the very last thing, I just scooted over here onto this last logo, which is Artboard 4, logo number 3. And what we're gonna do here is change the style of these strokes. These pink little curves here on either end. With my selection tool, I click on one and then I'll click on the other one. I'll click on the stroke, the word stroke, and here's where we can set all of those parameters. And right, we did dash line a minute ago. With this one, we're going to do arrowheads. We can place arrowheads at either end of a stroke. So you have I'm scrolling through all of these here, right? And there we go. I can click any one that I like. I can put an arrow on both sides, whatever you want to do. There we are. And you can flip it back and forth by clicking this button here, transforming it vertically. Change the scale of the arrowheads. See how big they are. Do this to lock the scale proportions ratio. You can place the arrow tip at the end of the path or beyond the end of the path it'll kind of extend it, which we just saw. We'll put it on our path. And so this now, it has the same kind of characteristics as every other stroke in Illustrator, right? We could take it, we could group it and do all of those kind of things. Also under stroke, I want to point out to you, you've seen this in some of the cars that I've been doing. Under profile of the stroke, you can change the shape of that stroke. Let me make sure you can see what I'm doing here. See how the shape of that line changed? It's not just a parallel stroke now with this width profile. And you can put in different width profiles that will kind of change the way your strokes look. It gives it this little ribbon twist here. Pretty nice. So there we go. I think we might have finished this one. View, fit all in window, right? We have a camp logo. We made mountains and more mountains and a stream and sun rays. We made a fire and a log with the pencil tool, drew them. Moved those over here, centered everything, arranged it all, and then gave some arrows to strokes. So that wraps this one up. What I'm gonna do now is choose File, Save As, get myself out of the way, and then save on your computer. Format will be Adobe PDF. Name it Tutorial 3, your last name, save it somewhere you can find it again. Click Save. Default settings are fine. Save PDF. And then you will take that PDF, go to this tutorial assignment in Blackboard and upload it there. I'll grade it.